All right, welcome back, everybody. I made a few mistakes in my hurry to try and finish before the last break. So let's go back and fix some stuff. The starting balance cell is totally fine. These cells need to be a little more complicated. Because we're allowing the start and end age for our retirement savings to change, we actually need to build in a little more power here and say, hey, if we're not saving for this many years, to not include the value. So let's do it real quick and see what happens. So the way this works, we're going to do equals, and we're going to say an if statement, capital IF, open parentheses, and then we're going to do a logical expression here, which means we're going to make some condition up. And what I'm going to say here is the only time we want a number here after 5 years is if we've been saving longer than 5 years. So basically, if this number here in I4 is greater than 5, we want to actually add that value in. So if I4, or I could just click on it up here as well. I could say, hey, if, you just click on it. If I4, the years of contributions, is less than 5, we haven't even saved for 5 years. I'm going to put a comma in. If we've been less than 5, we want to put in quotation mark NA, meaning not applicable. So if we didn't even save for 5 years, if we started at age 62 and ended at age 6 or 63 and ended at 67, we don't want a value put in this table. If we did go for at least 5 years, we want to put the value in there of B62. And that's that balance at row 62, which is after 5 years of savings. I'm going to hit enter. And notice it put a value there. Same value as before because we are greater than 5. If I did this and said change my starting age to 64, I waited to start saving really late, I would only have 3 years of contribution, and this table would be NA, meaning I haven't even saved for 5 years yet. So that's what that is for. And I'm going to go back up here and change to 22 again, just so I have that 45, test my numbers. So the next one, you do the same thing. So the only thing I need to do before I move down is I chose a number from this table. I don't want this number to change when I move down a row. So I'm going to double click on this cell to get the formula back up. I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of the 4 and in front of the I. That'll freeze it in place, hit enter, and now I'll copy and paste this down. And now I just need to change it from, I'll double click on it. And here, this is the 10-year row, so I want to change this to less than 10 years. You're going to put NA. If I'm saving more than 10 years or 10 years or more, I'm going to put B122. So that's the balance from 10 years way down in my table. So hit enter. And I know they're going up by 62 every time, or 60 every time, I should say, because that's 5 years. 5 times 12 is 60. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this last one down to all of them, all to 40 years, not the at retirement one. And that one is working. This next one needs to get fixed, so double click on it. And I'm going to say this should be 15 to match that 15 years. And this one should be 182 for 60 more than 122. The next one should be 20 and 242, because 60 plus 180 is 240 plus the other 2, and hit enter. And I'm noticing these numbers are getting bigger, and that's good. And then this one's going to be 25. And 242 plus 60 is 302. So many calculations. Double click. And this one is greater than 30. And this one is 360 will be 422. Whoops, except I needed to do B422. That actually gives a cell reference. And then I'm going to come down here and go, this one's going to be 482. So B482, and this one's going to be 35 years. I'm going to check my last one. I think I changed that one. Yep, 30 and 422, good. And then last one is going to be, this one's going to be 40 and 542. I think 60 plus 480 is 540. So 542. Oops, B 542. Enter, and it should be 380,000 on that row. And just to make sure, I'm going to come down here and just check row for 40 years. So check my 40-year mark down here, and there it is. The balance should be $33,845.87. Why is that different? Oh, it's 40 years or so. 40 plus 22 is 62. So I need to go down to the age of 62. I totally had a brain fart there. Sorry about that. So go down to the age of 62, and it says my balance should be 275,784. Oh. So something's wrong because my balance is the wrong number. So let's go check this real quick. So I'm looking up here in the address bar up here, and this one says B62. I'm going to go down one, B122, 182, 242, 302. There's the problem. I started screwing it up right here. This should be 362. Sorry about that. It's why we test our numbers. And then this one should be the 422. And this one should be the 482. And then there. Yep, that should be it. Okay, now the at retirement age. This one's going to be a little trickier to do. So what I need to do is I need to define whatever number this is. I need to find that number down here. So I'm going to do what's called a lookup function. So equals LOOKUP, lookup, parentheses. The search key, so what I'm searching for is the number 67, or I'm actually searching for whatever is in the retirement age cell. So I'm going to go up here and say, look for this, comma. It's going to search range. What are we searching in? So we're going to click up here at the very top for A, and we're going to look in column A for it, comma. And then the results range, that's what number that you're going to get when you find it. So when we find 67, we want to put the number over here in the balance range. So we're going to do that one, rotation, and then we're going to hit enter and see what it does. So at retirement, at age 67, it's our retirement age, we should have $378,000 in our account. Let's go check that to make sure. I'm going to go down, find age 67. So right here, 380, 54, 546, 86. That's a little off. Why is that a little off? It's one before what I thought it would be. Well, that's interesting. Well, I say close enough. Let's not try and fix that because I have other things I want to get done. So it's off by a little bit at the end. I'm not sure why it picked the one below the 67. I'll look into it. So income in retirement. So this is your annual income in retirement if this all holds. So what we're going to do is, and remember, these are subtracted by inflationary numbers. So this is 378,000 of dollars at that time, right? So this is like how much money you'd have saved up. The number in your account would be much more, but because money is worth less because of inflation, it really ends up being, feels like $378,000, even though the actual amount in your account might be 600,000. This takes in count of inflation. That might be confusing. We'll talk about it in class for sure. Income in retirement. So all we're going to do now is we're going to take your total money in your account, 378,713 when you retire. Down here in income and retirement, we're going to do equals. We're going to click on this one, and we're simply going to divide it by the years that you're going to have in retirement and hit enter. That's not right. Equals at retirement, how much money you have. I didn't put divided by the number of years. That gives you the dollars per year that you have. And you're going to be able to have $13,000 a year from your retirement account. So just over $1,000 a month. That plus Social Security That might be something you could squeeze by on. It's not going to be a lot, but it could be manageable. And now you can play around with stuff. So once you have all of these numbers working, you can come back up here and say, okay, what if I were to start with like $100 a month to start out? My first 5 years instead of just 50, and all of a sudden notice that I'm up at $392,000, $14,000 a year in retirement savings. So that's a pretty big difference for $50 a month in my first years of contribution. If I were to take this and say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna buckle down. I'm gonna put $200 a month, and all of a sudden now I'm looking at $418,000 a year, and almost $15,000 in retirement. So I can play around with these numbers and get a feel for what I want to do and how I want to do it. Another thing we could do is start our retirement age differently. So we can say, hey, over this one, I'm going to start my retirement age at 35. I'm going to wait. I'm going to put it off. And now I can come down here and look. All of a sudden, because I'm not retired, I'm not saving for 35 years. I'm only saving for a little over 30 years. I'm only going to have $175,000 in retirement, even though I'm $200 a month to start with. So that's pretty freaky to think that starting later has such a huge impact. We'll play around with some of these numbers and try to see how they impact retirement savings. All right, have a good one. I'll stop talking. Have a nice day. See you later.